Welcome to You Defend It with Rob Kilmer. The phone number to call into the show is 607-772-1290. I started the show a little differently this morning. I usually make a very brief announcement and then go into the music, but the music matters today, and I'll get to that in a little while. Okay, we're filming a debate tomorrow, and I will tell you why. That's what we will be talking about this week on You Defend It. As always, callers to the show will need to take a position, be able to defend it with an argument that is factual, not emotional. And if you can't make your point without insulting someone, you can't make your point on this show. Callers and guests will be treated with complete respect. For my part, I will ask questions that matter and give people the opportunity to answer. My website is www.youdefendit.com. That's youdefendit.com. You can give me your comments on the show anytime. By Friday of each week, I will have the topic up for the next show. You can also visit my blog through the site. You can read my posts and leave your own. You can always listen to my show live on streaming audio on www.wnbf.com, and my show is then uploaded to youdefendit.com later on Saturdays, and you can listen to it from there if you missed it live. There's also a debate section, suggestions section on the website. It is at the top of the homepage. You can leave me your thoughts on topics, debaters, questions, any comment you want to make about the debate. You can leave it there. Okay. Last week, for a 1-hour show, I spent about 59 minutes reading different articles, and I'm not reading anything today. Today I'm going to talk about the debate tomorrow, but not substantively about it. More about why I'm doing it, and why I think it's right, and why I think it's the right time, and why I think it's going to work. I have often spoken on this show about what motivated me to get You Defend It on the air. You may recall my first show was about Don Imus, and I found the firing of Don Imus to be unjust. He said something reprehensible, apologized for it, and the people he offended accepted that apology. In fact, it was the basketball team, women's basketball team. They did not want him fired. I think that fact was missed in all of the other news you heard about that story. They didn't want him fired. They never asked that he be fired. And they accepted his apology, and he apologized after he was fired. And briefly about Don Imus, why I was so motivated by his firing. Don Imus found out that the death benefit for American soldiers killed in combat was $12,500. He said that ends now. So every guest who wanted to be on his show had to help change that. Now the death benefit is $250,000. Still kind of light by my standards, but a vast improvement over what it was when he found out about it. Don Imus found out that there was not a single facility, not one, within the United States military dedicated solely to rehabilitating our soldiers who had lost one or more limbs on the battlefield. Don Imus said that ends now. So he put down $250,000 of his own money, raised the rest, and the facility was built. And then he turned it over to the military, and the military runs it now. Don Imus runs the Imus Ranch for kids with cancer. And he doesn't just organize it, he does it. He broadcasts all summer from that ranch in New Mexico and spends the days with the kids ensuring that they have at least one summer they will never forget. For some, it's their last. And it's free. He gives his money. He gives his heart, knowing it will occasionally be broken. In my mind, that's a good man. He deserved better than what he got. And what did he get? He got a circus. The people who engineered his firing, Al Sharpton and others, were not impressed with Don Imus on the whole. Their fame is continually fed by remarks, by incidents, by isolated acts. And once the momentum had begun to carry, a tragically typical American story took its normal course, and Don Imus was fired. And that was what my first show was about. And to me, that was an example of the media in this country and the way it operates, and why there needs to be an alternative. And that's how I hope I have set up this show, to be that type of alternative, where we deal more with facts and reality and the bigger picture than we do with emotion. Emotion's easy. Emotion's the reason we have laws. When you think about it. So you won't act on emotion all the time. I have also mentioned a couple times that there was something else, a personal reason going on for me at the time that I started this show as well. And it is the other reason that I did start this show, which, by the way, is now listened to by nearly 2,000 people every Saturday morning. I had thought it was just my mother and Frank from Appalachian, but it's not. So I had mentioned that there was something a little more personal, and I left it at that. Today, I think, is the appropriate time to talk about that. The debate is tomorrow. The pilot for the debate is tomorrow at SUNY at Binghamton University, the Waters Theater at 3 p.m. And after that debate goes off, and after it's filmed, and after I have that in hand, I'm going to go everywhere I have to go. I'm going to go door to door to find somebody to turn that into a monthly show. There's no reason on earth why we have to wait 4 years between real debates about national issues. There's no shortage of national issues right now. My goal is to address in the You Defend It format a major issue each month on national television. And that's what I will be pursuing once the pilot is filmed. I will take that pilot everywhere. All right. When we come back, I will get into the other reason that this show got on the air a couple years ago. And it's every bit as important to me and every bit as much the reason as the Don Imus firing, and it's every bit as much the reason that I've been pursuing these debates. You are listening to Rob Kilmer on News Radio 1290 WMBF. This is You Defend It. Welcome back to You Defend It with Rob Kilmer. The phone number to call into the show is 607-772-1290. All right, the other reason this show is on the air. Around 1991, I met Jerry Sherwood. He was, among other things, a guitarist. He was in the Twilight City Blues Band at the time. That's his music you hear on my show. That is the only music you will ever hear on my show. When I met him, Jerry Sherwood changed my life for the better. I wouldn't say he saved it, but it was close. I always told him, I always told myself, that if I ever accomplished something incredible, or if I ever found the perfect opportunity, that I would tell him that I would thank him for what he did for me. In early 2007, Jerry was at work. He wasn't feeling very well. He drove himself to Wilson Hospital. He got out of his car. He collapsed and he died right there. He was 53. At his standing room only memorial, everyone there was shocked, sad, and nostalgic. Everyone but me. I was outraged. I blew it. I knew I blew it. I never told him how much he had helped me, and I never thanked him. And as I sat there in my disgust, I thought, what else? What else have I been planning? What else am I gonna accomplish? What else am I going to do someday? What else is dependent upon just the right time presenting itself? At that moment, I decided that now is the right time for everything. Now. So I got this radio show on. Jerry had written the music for it a year prior to that. And I made one half-assed attempt to get it going, and then I abandoned it. But that night, I decided, no more. The time is now for that show. So I got the show on. I was lucky. I was able to deal here at WMVF with people who were not only willing to sit down with me, but as it turned out, willing to walk me through it. Roger Neal, by the way. He's God's little brother in my eyes. He spent an awful lot of time with me in the beginning that he did not have to. Helping me. There's a little more to it than just talking, I'm sure you've noticed. Over the 2 years this show has been on, the mistakes I make with the board here and things of that nature, but there's more to it. And Roger Neal's endless patience was invaluable in helping me get this show started. Now, the debates. Now is the time for the debates. Now, these are not something that you can just hold. You have to come up with a format. You have to come up with people. There's an enormous amount of organizing that goes into it. But shortly after I started this show, I decided I was going to pursue them. because I think they are right for America. I believe that. I do not care how corny that may sound to anyone. I believe that 100%. So about a year ago, I started traveling to New York and Washington and got a little bit of a break this past March when I got on the air with, maybe against, Rush Limbaugh at a time when there were some influential Republicans who were very frustrated with his role in the party. But I can honestly say that I have pursued every avenue available to me to get these debates going. And now I will have a pilot, a good pilot, with excellent debaters, an excellent judge presiding over it, the right format, the right subject matter. It couldn't be more timely. I mean, this debate is Sunday afternoon. The issue is the proper role of the Supreme Court Justice, and hearings for Souter's replacement start Monday. I believe this country is ready for something better than what it gets right now. I believe this country gets nothing but division and fear and blame. And I believe that what we are filming tomorrow is going to become the standard for political discourse in the United States. People are going to compare what they're doing to us. That's my goal, and I believe that will happen. I want to hear somebody say, look, this isn't you defend it. Give me your opinion on the other guy. Give me your opinion on her argument. You can criticize it if you want. This isn't you defend it. Go ahead. That's what I want to hear. This format has instant credibility because you have to prove you're right. It's that simple. If you don't know what you're talking about, it will become immediately evident. And that's what the public wants to know. There is a reason why there are more people becoming independents than there are. The number of registered independents is growing faster than the number of Democrats or Republicans. Americans want something better than they're getting. And I believe that this format, these debates, will give it to them. And as far as this debate format, the You Defend It debates, becoming the standard, if I did not absolutely believe that that was true, I wouldn't do it. Because there's been a lot of time and money invested in this. All predicated on my absolute belief that I am right. And that I can prove it. We're going to take a break at 8:30 in a minute or so here and come back for local news. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about where I think this country is and why I think the debates will help. But I think the way that they are set up is the only way to go forward if your real objective is to solve problems. Okay. We will take a quick break for local news and be back after that. You are listening to You Defend It with Rob Kilmer right here on News Radio 1290 WMBF Binghamton. Welcome back to You Defend It with Rob Kilmer. The phone number to call into the show is 607-772-1290. I am running all the music a little long today in honor of Jerry Sherwood. We left off talking about the reasons for the debates and why I think the country needs them. We have serious issues in this country right now that cry out for serious debate and resolution. It is amazing to me, and one of the fundamental aspects of my presentation that I will be giving to people when I'm asking them to air these debates once a month. Why on earth, in these times, do we have to wait 4 years between real substantive debates on national issues? And even those aren't really very substantive. You have a moderator who throws a question out there, and there's a 1 in 10 chance that somebody will answer it. People want answers now. People are worried now. They're worried about the economy. They're worried about being in 2 wars. They're worried about an awful lot of things. But in addition to being worried, they know that they're not quite informed. There's this nagging sense that there's more to it. And that's what we're going to get to in these debates. Every debate will be narrowly focused on a single topic. We're not talking, this debate tomorrow is not about the role of the federal judiciary. This is about the role of one court and what should guide justices sitting on that court. I think the public wants and is entitled to broad explanations on narrow matters so that they understand and are able to cut through what they've been hearing. I can't listen. I used to listen to all the political shows. I can't listen to any of them anymore. It's too frustrating. You know, unless you want to be one of those people who yells at your TV and throws things at it, you just can't listen to it. It's as much about what isn't being said as what is, and it's just too frustrating. But it's intentional. That's the problem. You know what our campaigns have become? They've become people running for office saying, my way would have been better. Not, my way worked. Keep me. My way would have been better. You hear that more often than anything else. The reason there's no progress in this country on major issues is because there's no consensus. And the reason that there is no consensus is because the people you hear on cable and on talk radio have a financial disincentive to encourage agreement. Agreement is bad for them financially. Luckily for me, there is a growing number, a statistically identifiable growing number of dissatisfied, disaffected, aggravated Americans who are saying enough of the noise from the right and the left. The truth is somewhere in the middle. Will somebody give it to me? And we will. And I do want to say this about the debates. I try and mention this whenever I talk about the debates. Putting together this debate, I've spoken to probably 15 people, potential participants, potential debaters. Not a single one has declined on the basis of the format. I find that incredible and encouraging. Scheduling something midsummer is not easy. People have plans. People are doing other things. It's that simple. But the people who I've spoken with, and I have spoken with big names within these circles, including the people who are involved, who are going to be debating, they want an opportunity to do this. They don't get an opportunity to do this anywhere else. So I don't want you to think that I'm, that the guests on these shows are, that I'm trying to vilify them. It's the format of the shows. You listen to Chris Matthews, I don't think he's ever asked a question and allowed a full answer from somebody whose opinion he does not agree with. What's the point? I already know Chris Matthews' opinion, and I'm not going to find out the opinion of the person he's speaking with. What is the point? You've got Keith Olbermann, who considers himself a rebuttal to Rush Limbaugh. So they act basically the same. What's the point? It's a zero-sum gain. Each one of them imputes motives to the other and to the other person's philosophy and followers. And in the meantime, when's the last time a major issue in this country was resolved? When? I'm not aware of it. When you have a format that depends upon disagreement, you're not going to get consensus, or you're going to be out of a job. But there are shows out there that have been on for a long time that people find interesting because they are made aware of facts that they were not aware of prior. 60 Minutes, I believe, is the longest running show on television. They've had some famous pieces over the years. They've had some infamous pieces over the years. However, there's no shortage of people who want to tune into that show week in, week out. I want Republicans to put up their best. I want Democrats to put up their best. And it may not even be Republicans and Democrats. Let's have the Heritage Foundation and the ACLU. Let's have the NRA and Brady. Let's have those organizations defend their positions as they pertain to the right to bear arms and certain restrictions. Let's get it out there. Just get the information out there. Trust the public to decide for themselves. Anybody who knows me knows I am an opinionated person. And I give my opinions on this show. But I am willing to set up a format, and I have set up a format, that does not help create a winner. That is why the people who are writing questions, and all the questions are written. This debate is, I will go there after the show and start setting up for tomorrow afternoon. We'll be there most of the day today. We'll be there all day tomorrow. But the people I chose to help me write questions are all the way to the right, all the way to the left. And it's not just about writing questions, by the way. What I've gotten out of it is because we've all had a common objective, even though people have been coming at this from different political perspectives, it's been an education for me. I've learned from everybody involved in this a lot. That's the way I want the public to perceive this show. That's what I want them to get out of it. There's no question that the questions these people will be taking tomorrow are fair. I mean, they're rigidly fair. They have to defend their position. They're not allowed to attack the other person's position. That's simple. But the process itself has been like the debates should be. The process of preparing the debates is, in a way, on a smaller scale, the way the debates will be. You take positions from everywhere, and you do your best to put together questions that are designed with one objective: to get as much information out to the public as possible. That's what we've done. Okay, when we come back, I'll talk a little bit more about the debates, and I'm going to leave you right now with a little more Jerry Sherwood that I don't usually play very often on here, or for very long. This is Rob Kilmer. You're listening to You Defend It on 1290 WMBF Binghamton. Welcome back to You Defend It with Rob Kilmer. By the way, Frank from Appalachian, if you are listening and you are not at that debate tomorrow, I expect a written note. Okay, as far as the debate itself, it starts at 3. We're going to probably open the doors between 2 and 2:30, probably close the doors around 2:45. There will be no audience participation at all. It will be silent at the beginning, during, and end. It won't. The audience will not be on film at any time for the pilot. I just wanted to give people the opportunity who have listened to this show to come and see it if they wanted to. But there will be no clapping or yelling or profanity or anything of that nature. It'll be complete silence from the audience. And no cameras or cell phones, of course. There will be 3 cameras filming this, 1 for each debater. And by the way, the debaters will be looking at a camera as if that is the audience. So it is unlikely that the debaters will be ever looking at the people who are there. And we haven't promoted this very much as far as the audience is concerned. I'm expecting maybe 20, 30 people tomorrow. I did not want the size of the audience to ever become a measure of the success of the pilot, because that's not how it's intended to be presented. It's the format that is being showcased. And again, the reason for inviting an audience was just to give the people who listen to this show an opportunity to see something that I hope will be part of history. the pilot for the You Defend It debate series before it began running nationally once a month on the issues of our time. But the format will be, there will be no moderator. There will be a retired judge presiding over it who will have complete authority to step in and say, you're not answering the question. Or you're into the other person's argument now. I want to hear yours. I got lots of questions for the other person. You tell me why you're right. You don't need to test the other person's argument. That's my job. I'll do it. And I think with that format, it's guaranteed that you'll get information. You will get what somebody is actually advocating rather than what they are opposing. And if you listen carefully, in fact, you don't have to listen very carefully. If you listen at all to cable, all you ever hear is what one side is opposing. You never hear what's being advocated. You have to assume. And when the argument that you're supposed to assume is being advocated is really being framed by the person who's opposing it, then that argument is distorted. You're getting a skewed version of the argument. My feeling on this is pretty simple. If you think you're right, show up and prove it. And that's why I've chosen a format that is more like a courtroom. I've seen judges say to lawyers who are getting into the other side's argument, hold on. You've got to understand that when you leave today, I have to make a decision. Help me make a decision that favors you. Help me. Give me something I can work with on your side of this thing. Help me understand why you're right. Because if you can't explain why you're right, who can? You're the person who's supposed to be here to do it. In fact, you're the only person here to do it. You are the advocate. You are the representative for that argument, for that idea. Step up and prove it. And I'll tell you what, it feels good to do that. There's a big difference between winning an argument on the merits and winning it, so to speak, by default. Accomplish something. Show up, step up, accomplish something. Get in there to win. Get in there to win fair. It will be interesting to me as I go around the country with this to hear the objections. I know this sounds incredibly naive. I will concede that up front. But I can't think of an objection to this. Too honest? Too informative? Too civil? What is it? Too rigid? Too legitimate? Not enough distortion? What's it going to be? One of the places I'm going first is the Republican National Committee. And I'm going to say all I've been hearing since last election is that you're not relevant. Here's your chance to become relevant. Instant credibility. The only thing you have to do, in fact, the only thing you're allowed to do, is show up and prove to us why you're right. Isn't that what you've been looking for? Isn't that what you've been waiting for? You can't blame the media on this one, either side. because my company is the media. And you're going to get fair questions from us. Because there's too much diversity in the group to get anything but. And more importantly, there's too much of a commitment to something bigger than petty arguments. There is a commitment to a better conversation in America about critical issues. We are willing to prioritize a preordained winner second. We are willing to prioritize the legitimacy of the debate itself ahead of all else. And we've done that. That's what will be on display tomorrow. And if you still wish to attend, again, you have to go to my website, www.youdefendit.com, and register. Because I have to let Binghamton University know how many people are going to be there. And I'm going to take this to the Democratic National Committee and say, what's your argument against this? You're in charge. Midterms are a year from November. Prove to us why you should still be there after that. What have you done right and why? What are your numbers? What are your facts? What's your proof? Don't tell us about the mess you inherited. Nobody wants to hear it. Tell us about what you are doing and why and how it's going to work, or what else you want to do and why and how it's going to work. Who knows, you might even get some of those independents. The days of treating the issues in this country as if they are not as serious as they are over. I believe there will be a line out the door of people who want to participate in this. As far as debaters, it's not just the perceived heads of the parties, it's the people who want to be the heads of the parties. There are hundreds of ambitious people out there who want to be the head of their party. Somebody you've never heard of will be president within 10 years. Think about that. That's going to happen. Now, some people have said that he didn't do such a great job on TV one day, but had you heard of Bobby Jindal 2 years ago, 3 years ago? How about Mike Huckabee? Had you heard of him 5 years ago? Unless you lived in the state where he was governor. Chances are you hadn't. Well, that's going to just about do it for this week's edition of You Defend It. And I will leave you with Jerry Sherwood's music. But before I do that, the time for these debates is now, right now. And they start tomorrow. And they're going to keep going after that. Because I think the idea is too good. Even though somebody recently told me that the idea doesn't really belong to me, it belongs to everyone. I'm going to take this as far as I can. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week. This is Rob Kilmer on You Defend It.